I've been facilitating SAFE 5 this term, and it is focused on the first two of the Four Noble Truths, looking at our current situation, just mired in unsatisfactoriness and dukkha. And it's been really wonderful because Venerable Kadro's teachings on the Lam Rim have just totally been in sync with what we've been doing in SAFE and really reinforcing how important it is to look at this current situation. And so I just wanted to share how that has affected my practice, and that it's so beneficial. I've really, since learning about the Buddha's teachings on dukkha and unsatisfactoriness and suffering, it's really helped me to normalize unpleasant experiences and feelings, and noticing how often I have the expectation that things are going to go the way I want. People are going to treat me the way I think they should. They're going to do what I think they should. And the fact that that doesn't happen and that that's normal is actually really nice. To be able to have some acceptance, like, oh, this is just the way it is. Like, that's okay. And so what's been going through my mind often in the past month or so is when something happens and I notice that, that kind of irritation coming up, is I just tell myself, I don't have to get upset about this. I don't have to be angry about this. And that in itself doesn't actually take care of the anger, but it helps create a space in my mind to really invite myself to think about an antidote, think about putting this in a greater context so that I can see things more realistically and beneficially. And it really helps me notice that when I am getting angry, it's because I'm telling myself a story. It's because I am interpreting something in a way that, my self-centered thought and self-centered expectations is thinking that other people should do things differently so I have a better experience. And so seeing that it's the way that I am really projecting and interpreting events that's really leading to my anger. It's not actually the event or the thing itself. And so also Shantideva has been coming to mind this verse of, if there is something that can be done about a situation, then do it. And there's no need to get angry. And if there's not anything that can be done about it, then no big deal. Like, why get angry about it then? It's useless. So I've been developing more gratitude for these small things that happen in the day that I often label as irritating. And I'm so fortunate that this happens sometimes in really predictable ways. So I can kind of set myself up and, be prepared for when this thing happens, because it happens almost every day, that I can come back to this new, practice of reminding myself, like, oh, I don't have to get upset about this. There's actually something I can do, or there's nothing I can do. Or whatever it is, that reminder that there's these tools that we have to work with the anger. And so this will help me, I think, because there's often many things that are not predictable, that are a surprise, and this is where I have a harder time coming back to this. You don't need to be angry, because I wasn't expecting that. But when I work with it in these more, these ways that happen on a daily basis, this is helping my mind get in the habit of noticing when that anger is arising, and then just reminding myself, hey, no need to get angry. Like, let's think of a different way to think about this. And so this is really working towards the renunciation that the Buddha is wanting us to do, to really renounce the suffering that the afflictions are bringing, to not just buy into my anger and the stories I tell myself, and in that way just get more and more worked up and create a lot of harm for myself and others. And so instead of creating these stories that are seeing things as something is wrong that's happening, someone is, doing, they're exhibiting these not so great qualities, I think we all are familiar with these different stories that we tell ourselves, really putting the blame outside of ourselves for why am I getting angry, when really it's how I'm interpreting things. So as I am able to drop that a bit more quickly, I can turn that too and be more aware to see that others are trying to be happy, trying to get their needs met. They have a good intention, they have a kind heart, they have good qualities. And really, yeah, what they're doing is just like what I'm doing, which is trying to be happy and free from suffering. And so, why get angry? Maybe I can act in a way that is contributing to all of our happiness instead of all of our unhappiness. And I really noticed the difference in my mind of whether I am like rejoicing or whether I am ranting, whether I am complimenting or complaining. Am I fault finding or am I praising? And that this has really tremendous impacts on then how I'm speaking and how I am acting and what I'm doing in daily life. And really, seeing one of the antidotes I go to a lot is like, oh, I must have created the cause to be in this situation. I must have created the cause to experience this in the past because I've probably done something similar to others. And so when I can bring that to mind and then, be really aware that I don't want to get upset, I don't want to perpetuate this habit of anger, of upsetting others, then I can really rejoice because then right now in this moment when I'm not reacting in a harmful way, I am instead, creating the cause for, a more peaceful and calm mind right now and for a more happy result to ripen in the future. And then also really what I see is really important is to shift this habit of getting angry, because the more that I respond in anger and irritation, and sometimes it's kind of this like low level, which I feel is pernicious and it can be hard to notice sometimes. But the more I do, the more I can, stop that habit, stop these kind of underlying rants about what's going wrong. And this is one of the real dangers in non-virtuous actions, is that we create the cause to, be more likely to do that again. So the more I can remind myself that anger is unhelpful, that I can choose something different, the more I'm really, hopefully, I think, according to the Buddhist teachings, and it seems like my experience in the practice that I've done, the more I'm creating the cause for that habit to just slowly stop coming up so strongly. And instead, for this question or this statement of, I can make another choice. I don't have to get angry about that. That can be more of my reaction instead of, "Argh." It's not unpleasant or that's not pleasant, for myself or others. And we really impact each other and have an effect on each other. And so when we see each other in a more positive light, I know for myself, I'm more willing to jump in and help. And if something needs done, I'm more willing to, step up and do it when I am having the story in my mind of oh, this person is, making a lot of, contributions. I'm so grateful for their kindness. Of course, I would want to, step in and help, contribute to the kindness that we're all, sharing with each other, as opposed to my grumpy mind that can be like, that person signed up for that. I'm going to let them take care of it. And as I see others step up in this way and receive that kind of kindness from others, I know I'm really inspired to share that back. And so, we really affect each other with how we act and how we work together as a community. And seeing these different ways that I am influenced by others, I also see just these little small things, like Venerable Kunga had mentioned the other day, of this, really beautiful line of shoes that was outside the Posada room in the Buddha Hall. And even when she came inside to want the camera to take a picture, other people were already talking about it, oh yeah, I just got a picture of that. Oh yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Other people noticed how beautiful that line of shoes was. And what my experience had been when I walked to the door of the Posada room, there was all these shoes lined up on the right side of the door. And I thought, oh, if I add my shoes to that line, I'm going to have to walk 10 more feet back to the door because there's so many shoes. So I took my shoes off. They were the first pair on the left side of the door. But then I looked at that line, and I'm like, I actually kind of want to be part of this. Like, this is such a, this is just this nice line of shoes. Why would I want my shoes to be the outlier? Sitting on the other side of the door. And so, I put my shoes back on and walked them over, and it felt good to be part of this like collective practice of being aware of how we are leaving an impression with even simple things like our shoes. And I also think about it, like in the wintertime, I can come inside and there can be some snow on my boots, even if I try to knock it off, and noticing, the clods of snow that come in with me. And when the room is really clean and there's no other clods of snow on the ground, on the floor, of course I'm going to sweep it up because I don't want to leave the room full of snow. But it's not as easy for me to do that if I come in and the room is kind of full of snow from other people's shoes. And so really seeing how, when I am tidy and pick my things up, that's going to have an impact on others and encourage others to be tidy and pick things up. And how much this is connected to the state of my mind. And so when I can keep myself in a more balanced and calm state, I am much more able to be a positive contribution to the community, which everyone benefits. And so I think what this has really helped me do is to see the more of the long-term vision of what are the causes that I'm creating right now. I can either get upset and try to force getting what I want when I want it, or I can look to the long term of what impact do my actions have now on the future, and how can I work to create the actual causes for liberation and awakening, and that is by working with the afflictions, by noticing when that anger is arising and making that deliberate choice to antidote it and to put things in a better, more realistic view. Because this is going to help me create the causes to be able to continue on this path, to have spiritual friends and qualified spiritual mentors. And this is how I am going to be able to get myself out of this dreadful situation that is mired in dukkha and unsatisfactoriness, and from there is actually how I'll be able to be of the most benefit to others.